Welcome, guys. This is the Pat Danger Podcast, episode number 10. I'm here with Chrisy Cee. Chrisy Cee, what's up, man? How's it going?
Too bad, not too bad. Can't complain. Early morning though, so I'm gonna try and no fall asleep.
Yeah, I'm sorry for the time difference. So you're in Scotland, right?
That's so good. Yes, the land of the kilt
The land of the kilt. I love it, man.
and
So
unicorns.
and unicorns. So what time is it by you right now?
It is just turned 1 a.m.
Okay.
So
All right. At least it's not like a
not
random
too
ass
bad.
Yeah, it's better than 4 a.m. So it's not horrible. So this is
Yeah.
actually your first podcast. So first off, by the way, Chrisy Cee has his own podcast. It's him and Docs. It's called The Drunk Tank, correct?
Yes.
And they also, because the other co-owner of the podcast is, I think he's moving houses or something right now. They've been putting out this really cool Drunk Tank Shots, which is like a 30-minute segment you guys are doing once a week right now, right?
Yeah, we're trying to keep it as once a week, just so that we're still able to put out content enough that we don't kind of blow away in the wind for the next 6 weeks. But yeah, it's just a wee weekly episode thing, 30 minutes or so, just to keep with the conversation, really.
Cool. Yeah, I listened to your guys' first episode today. I liked it a lot. Are you going to be continuing to do it even when you have your normal episodes, or is it just kind of like an in-between type thing?
Well, this is the question that I've been asking for a couple of weeks. Was when it was Docs or someone Docs was talking to kind of came up with the idea, and I kind of liked it, and we thought, well, it'd be something for the next 6 weeks while we're on hiatus.
Mm-hmm.
But the fact of we you getting the intro song, that kind of pushed it even further. Of, well, I don't really want to just use this for 6 weeks. I'd kind of like to be able to keep going, because it's like we do the podcast live recording on Twitch on the Sunday, and then it goes live on like Spotify, Google, YouTube, and that on the Wednesday. So I'd like to be able to do something where we can do this as well, where the episode can go live on like a Saturday, but we can like just record it off camera like through the week kind of thing. So it's something that I'd like to keep going, because it's nice to have, because the podcast itself can be sometimes like 3 hours long. It's a long evening for us,
Mm-hmm.
and we can't get everything we want to talk about into it. So it's a nice little second project to be able to go, well, if there's a couple of topics that we want to get out but we couldn't fit in, we can put it in here and just sort of touch on it more, kind of like a weekly news topic kind of thing. But it's still young, so it's just a case of me and Docs will kind of talk it out, see if it's viable, see if it's worth kind of going. Like the next 6 weeks, how it goes on the platforms will kind of tell us if it's worth continuing it, or perhaps go down a different project kind of thing, because we've got plenty of projects kind of in our mind where we want to go, well, let's go with this, but we have to try and pump the brakes a little bit, because we're trying to run before we can walk, or I am anyway, but that's me.
Right, dude. One, I think it's a great idea. Two, I'm glad the little intro maybe gave you a little push. I like. It's funny because I never really was super into podcasts, but during quarantine, I found myself listening to podcasts more, and I've actually the two kind of main podcasts I listen to, interestingly enough, is kind of both sides of the coin. One that I listen to is like 3 hours long every episode, and they do once a week, which is kind of like what you guys do, your main
Mm.
show. And then the second one that I listen to is it's like a drunk tank shot one where it's like 30 minutes. And I like both of them, and I think both of them kind of have their pros and cons. And I know it's a lot of work, but I think it would be cool if you guys did your normal 3 hour episodes and then like sprinkled in between, like you said, like these 30-minute drunk tank shots.
Mm.
And it could even be something like you do one week, Docs does one week or whatever. but like whatever you guys want to do, I think it's cool. I like the first episode a lot. Sometimes it's easier for people to digest like a smaller amount of information, obviously,
Hmm.
than like a 3 hour block. So I think that's cool. So this is actually the first podcast where you've been on as a guest, correct?
Yes, it is indeed. This is so nerves were kicking a little earlier because it was like, I mean, I started actually doing actual streaming in the end of February this year. It's not actually been that great a time. The podcast was started maybe middle of January, end of January, I'm sure it was our first episode. So I'm still very, very new to this, and like the anxiety and the nerves and that kind of stuff still swirl. But it was like, say, like Docs and a few other streamers uh, that I've kind of played with off camera or on their stream that kind of gave me that confidence and that belief of, oh, fuck it, let's do it. And it's also helped in the podcast because if you go back to like maybe the first one or two episodes, you can see that I'm still quite timid and I let Docs do most of the talking and I'll just kind of chime in when Docs brings me in. Whereas now it's like, unless Doc stops me, I'll just keep on going and going and going and going. And he's now the kind of anchor of, right, we can't keep talking about this for 3 hours. We need to change up and move on to the next bit because there's only so much content that we can discuss on this, whereas I could easily go for 3 days if I wanted to. So you can kind of see the differences throughout the episodes where the rules have kind of changed. That Docs has started seeing my little idiosyncrasies, and now we can kind of bounce off each other a little better and keep the podcast to an actual time. Because I think the first 4 or 5 episodes ranged from 2 hours 15 to like 3 hours,
Mm.
whereas now we seem to have a consistent. It's like 2.5 hours flow. So we started getting that time. But like you said, we kind of thought that the podcast might be too long because a lot of podcasts do tend to be like an hour long or 30 minutes.
Mhm.
But I kind of took it from my personal opinion in that for the likes of podcast, because my day job is delivery driving, I can be on the road for 18 hours a day. Uh, I usually have podcasts on and I can go a week, listen to the one podcast in like 30-minute blocks. So it worked for me being a 3 hour podcast as a weekly thing as opposed to a 30-minute daily podcast that I've seen or I listen to quite a lot of. So for me, the timing, bringing in the shots as well, I think opens up another door for podcast listeners that do prefer the shorter one. And it might open the door for us to kind of be, well, if you enjoy the short ones, once a week we do have this one where we go into a lot more detail and a lot more tougher topics. So that's kind of where everything comes to the one head that we're hoping to push forward with.
I think it's funny how you said your first couple episodes, you're kind of this timid guy, and then towards the end, you got Doc's like, "All right, Chris, enough, Chris, stop."
Yeah.
I think that's funny. That's really funny. Yo, I couldn't even believe it when you just said you've only been doing your podcast since February. You and Doc's one, and we're gonna get into your relationship with Doc's after. Um, I don't know why I said that so scandalously, like there's an affair. We're going to get into your guys' relationship. Uh, no, we're going to get into how you met, obviously. um, dude, that's crazy that you've only been doing your podcast since February. You guys both are such naturals that if you told me you guys have been doing it for 4 years, I'd be like, oh, like even that seems like a short amount of time. I'm going to tell these guys real quick how I even met you guys. Um, I was basically just like one day just surfing through Twitch. And one, it's not even something, when I'm not streaming myself on Twitch, I'm almost never on Twitch, truthfully. And I've only been streaming on Twitch for maybe 3 months now. So I'm very new to Twitch in general. And even before I started streaming on Twitch 3 months ago, I couldn't tell you anything about Twitch. I didn't even browse it. But for whatever reason that day, I was browsing the talk shows and podcast section. And then I see these two. I'm clicking on random people, and it's just kind of boring and boring and boring and boring. Then I click on you guys, and like the topic I remember was something about UFC, and like not even like a broad topic. It was like not only do you have to know about UFC, but like you have to like pretty much know like some specific shit about the UFC to know what they're talking about. So I'm like, all right, I'm gonna watch for like 30 seconds. I couldn't name one person in the UFC. It's just not what I watch. Dude, I clicked on it, and I remember, yeah, I told you, dude, I watched you guys for like 3 hours, and I had no idea what you were talking about, but I thought it was like the most interesting shit ever. And I thought it was cool how you guys kind of brought like morals and ethics into it, which was awesome. And I agreed with everything you guys were saying. And I remember thinking that you guys have a really, really good back and forth relationship, because sometimes when I watch podcasts where someone's interviewing someone, and please feel free to just cut me off if I ever do this, like when they're interviewing someone, they're just like, they never let them talk. Or it's like one-sided. It's super one-sided or whatever. But I remember it was like you guys were reading each other's minds. I'm like, yo, these guys must be like childhood friends or something. So that's cool that you've only been streaming for such a short amount of time, dude. I would never have guessed that. And one more thing before we talk about your scandalous relationship with Docs. um, your because to kind of compare it to music a little bit, just because it kind of reminded me of something, and I've talked about this before. Like you with your first episodes doing your podcast, how you said you kind of look back on it and you're like, oh, dude, I'm like so different now. Like we just talked about the differences. It's like night and day. Dude, I'm the same way when I look back on some of my first songs. Hopefully your first, creations were better than my first creations. Because some of the shit I look back on and dude, it just makes me cringe. It makes me want to like change my name or something.
Well, I mean, like I think when I look back at the first episode, I mean, for a good couple of episodes until I started getting the editing down, because the way we kind of work it is to the episodes that I put up on like Spotify and Google and Apple and stuff like that, it's an edited version. Whereas the one that goes up onto YouTube, that's just the unedited VOD from the Twitch stream. The reason why I kind of done that was because personally I felt as if I wanted to have a more professional look on the platforms for podcasts as opposed to the YouTube, because one, it's a good way to kind of direct audience to your YouTube to go, well, if you want to see the kind of the shitty funny parts that didn't make it to here, go to the channel and watch that, or come to the live show. But it was more down to the fact that if you go onto the YouTube and watch the first episodes, the amount of times I say like in between every word, I'll be like, yeah, that's like yeah, and it's the stutter. There was drinking games where it was a case of like my friends here were like, every time it says or like, we take a drink, and between into the first 30 minutes they were out of it because of how many times. So like when I look back to that, it is quite cringeworthy, but the actual like topics, it is a lot more like, even back then we were hard hitting. Like we were talking about during the whole Black Lives Matter, we were talking about policing, we were talking about racism, we've been talking about media coverage of certain celebrity avenues and stuff. So we've always had those kind of hard hitting. There's been a couple of episodes where we've talked about like mental health and personal mental health and personal demons. We've had a couple of guests on, that one of which kind of was very, very open about their own mental health and their own problems and issues that they've been having. And as much as we want to, as when you were asking questions about the intro, that was one of the things that I'd said is we want to have this comedic effect. Like we'll keep having those jokes where banter between me and Docs, but we still want to be able to have those conversations where It might be upsetting, it might be deep, it might rub people the wrong way, but it's more a case of we're trying to show that you're allowed to have certain conversations that don't have to be aggressive, they don't have to be hate filled. Like, everybody has a difference of opinion over something. Like, I'm sure if me and you talked long enough, we'd find the difference that we have in each other. But the difference between our way of thinking and a lot of other people's thinking is you're not at fault for having a difference of opinion. It's your opinion. Like, that's your right. You're allowed to have that. The problem is when people don't allow others to share information that may alter your understanding or opinion of the subject. Like, everybody, like, I'll give you a thing. Over here, we're talking about Brexit, which is the UK leaving the European Union.
Mm-hmm.
The argument on one side for leaving the EU is because it will stop illegal immigrants coming into the UK, it will stop this and it will stop that. And everybody kind of jumped on that as sort of it was racist. The illegal immigrants will still find a way in, that's why they're illegal immigrants. The only people that you can stop is the legal migrants that are coming into the country through airports and docks and with their papers. They're the only ones you can stop. But if you actually took the time to listen to other people on Brexit, it was they were voting to leave because the companies they worked for were threatening to leave the UK or move elsewhere. So it was more about their livelihood that was why they were having to vote. It wasn't about migrants, it wasn't about racism, it wasn't about this. It was because they would lose their jobs because the companies were going to leave. So if you actually take the time to listen to other people's opinions, you can have a bit more open-mindedness of going, well, yeah, not everybody that's against me is through hate-filled motives. There's people that could have a difference of opinion through personal reasons. And if you can understand that, it makes for a lot better conversation. And that's what I feel me and Docs have, is me and Docs, even though we share a lot of opinions together, when Docs makes a statement, I'll actively go on the offensive to try and, well, what about this? What about this? Even though I share his opinion, I'll still argue on the other side because that's another voice that should be heard. And there's a difference between hate-filled, like if you're being racist, you're in the wrong. It doesn't matter how you think. Like this whole argument of you're brought up in a different time. Well, yeah, you were brought in a different time, but it doesn't mean it's right. Like, it's still wrong. You're still racist. So there's some topics where you can't argue for, but there is a lot of topics where the voice of the other side should be heard. And if we can bring that to a platform, it just gives a little bit more of an understanding to the voiceless argument. And it also opens up to the doors of people then being able to talk about conversations that they might not feel comfortable, i.e. mental health, which is a big talking point, or it should be a big talking point in everybody's lives, that we all should be open up about our mental health, be it a good mental health, a bad mental health, because there's people out there that will listen, but a lot of people don't have the confidence to speak up in the first place, so they can never get someone to listen. They just immediately think because no one wants to talk about it, no one's there to talk. And I've said plenty of times on the podcast and that, and I've had people that have actually reached out just to chat because they've been struggling with something or an issue that they've been having behind closed doors and that. And all they've really needed is just an unbiased, random person that could just sit there and listen and chat and let them just get all this shit out that they might not have been able to talk about to like family or friends or anything like that. So on that basis, the topics in the podcast that we've done, there's no cringeworthy episode that I can come across. There might be some moments, but every episode that I've done, I've been super proud of because it's opened up doors to, even if it's one person that's better off for it. And that's a win for me.
I think that's awesome. That also really reminds me of something too. Well, I got a couple of things. First, the last thing you said really reminds me because it's kind of like along the mindset is it's like if you help one person, it's worth it. And when I was putting out my first couple of songs, dude, I'm telling you, they were like objectively bad. At least I thought so. And I remember I put up this one song when I first started rapping. Dude, I went back like 2 years later when I started getting a lot better and I deleted it. And within like 24 hours, some dude messaged me like, hey, like, why'd you delete that song? I'm like, I don't know, dude, it sucks. And it's from like so long ago. He's like, dude, I've had that on repeat. That he like sent me a paragraph about how it like got him through some hard times and shit like that. I'm like, dude, I'll send you the personal MP3 for it if you want. I was like, you might be the only person in the world who likes this song, so it's your song now. You keep it. Tell people you wrote it. It'll help me out, you know. Um, but it just kind of it was kind of along the same lines where it's like, if you help one person, then it's I think about them like it's more for them than it is for you. As much as it made
Yeah,
me cringe, if it helped that dude, cool enough. Um, Two, I
yeah,
think one of the reasons I liked watching your guys' podcast too is although I did agree with everything you guys were saying and your views, it was cool that you always still give the opposing side so people can kind of make their minds up for themselves. You're not just spoon feeding them shit. We're like, hey, this
yeah,
is what me and Docs think, so this is what you guys should think, or else you're assholes. It was like, hey, this is what I think, and hey, this is what Docs thinks, and you might be like, hey, this is what I think. So, make your own decision, viewer. You choose whatever you personally think. Um,
yeah, exactly. But that kind of stems into the the whole point of the podcast is giving people the tools to research for themselves, find out for yourselves. Don't just take face value.
mhm.
Like, go and do the research, go and read something, go read newspapers, go read the actual person that's actually dealing with it, go and speak to them. Like, don't just accept whatever's spoon fed, like you said. Do some research, and you maybe actually find that what you've believed for the last 20 years is in actual fact just dribble that shouldn't actually be believed. But at the same time, you might find something that could stand your argument further and go, well, no, here is definitive proof that I have been right in my beliefs. Better share it with the world. So yeah, that's the kind of point, is sharing both sides of the argument makes people want to hear all the argument, or, unless you'll never actually get your own opinion. You'll just be spouting someone else's opinion.
Right. No, I totally agree, and I think it's it's a lot of it is kind of like, let's say, like I used to hang out with like the same group of people, right? And like they weren't really great people, and I don't hang out with them anymore. But it's pretty much just us, like, which is what pissed me off even more was like we were just kind of regurgitating each other's opinions to each other, and like, dude, it was like not only was it not expanding my mind and like opening my mind, it was like, dude, it was closing it even further. Because I was like, yo, this is what I think. My friend's like, yeah, exactly, you're right, because I think the same thing, so we're both right. And my third friend would be like, yeah, dude, we're all right, fuck anybody else who thinks otherwise. And I was like 17, so I'm like, yeah, we're right, and the other 100,000 people are wrong, but us three right here are right. Um, so one, I don't even hang out with people like that anymore. Two, I think like it takes a while to open your mind up to a lot of different things, and I think it's taken me a long
Mhm.
time. And you can always push it even further, but I think at the point in my life right now, I think I'm very open-minded, which I think takes a lot of you got to kind of take your ego out of it in a lot of ways, and you have to be able to admit you're wrong. And it's hard to admit. Understand that it's hard to admit that you're wrong if it's a belief you've held for a really long time. It's just, dude, it gets harder and harder. But if you're somebody
Yeah,
who can, like, yo, this is what my dad taught me, so this is what I grew up with. If you can go from, like, that kind of mindset and something you've believed for like 10 plus years, somebody highly trusted told you, and you can go back and change it, that's amazing. That's incredible and very hard to do.
oh yeah, for sure. And I think people should kind of understand that it is a hard thing to do, is just to change your opinion because of a certain topic or a fact that's came from you. But the thing that I'd like more people to understand in that is that it is difficult, and it will take a lot of mental power and strain and belief to be able to, because like if you've believed something for 20 years, that doesn't say anything about you. And that's the kind of story that I want more people to actually believe in themselves, is what you might have believed for 20 years doesn't say everything about you, because there is a lot of parameters that could have been that's made you believe that. It could be family members, it could be friends, it could be stress, it could be school. There's a lot of things that can go into it. But being the sort of person that can understand that there is other opinions out there and being able to change, it might take time, but just know that you're a better person for it. Like you're growing, and that's something that a lot of people do struggle with, is the fact that the difference of opinion does not happen overnight. It's not a flick of a light switch. It can take days, it can take months, it can take years before you actually feel the benefit of it. But just know that as long as you're constantly growing as a person, there's respect there for you. Because there is a lot of people that have the wrong ideas and the wrong belief systems and stuff like that, especially if it's hate filled. But that doesn't mean that you can't improve. That doesn't mean that you're a lost cause. A lot of people like to say that these racists or these homophobes or these people are a lost cause and they shouldn't be given the respect and they shouldn't be given the time. So, well, that's maybe where we've been going wrong, is we're not willing to give the time to help educate in the right manner. So you can't just walk into somebody that's believed something for 20 years and go, you need to change.
Hmm.
Like that, it's physically impossible. Like you cannot do. That's like me turning around to you and saying, "Right, tomorrow you're now a metal musician. Start writing music." It's
Yeah.
just it's not a viable option. So it's going to take time, and if you can believe and understand and give that time to someone that wants to change for the better, you'll have a lot more people that'll be calmer and more open to changing for the better. Because if you're just aggressively attacking them constantly and demanding, like, look, when you're 5 or 6 or 10, if your parent or guardian turned around and said, do this, just how much did you want to actually do that? Like it's within everybody. It's that rebellious nature. If someone tells you to do something, by fuck, you are not going to do that.
Hmm.
You'll do it if you want to do it. So if you want to change and people around you give you the time and effort to open up your eyes and just help you go along, you could be the most racist person in the world. I will still give the time and effort to help you change your opinion and belief system in that, because you're not a lost cause, you're just a project like everybody else here. We're all just trying to find a way through this world and earth and planet and life, and it's a shitty fucking life if everybody's against you.
I was reading this book today, and I really wish I wrote down exactly what he said. Um, and I'm totally gonna butcher this, but it kind of goes along with the lines of what you're saying. It was like you can't put new knowledge into somebody's head if you behead them, or you can't change somebody's mindset if you behead them, which is kind of like along the lines of it's like Gandhi said that, by the way, and I'm sure he said it in a much cooler, more articulate way than I just did. But I wish I wrote it down. But anyways, it's kind of like along the lines of what you're saying too, because I know like a lot of the times you see like some old racist dude or some old homophobic dude. I know that a lot of the times it would just be way easier to just run up to that dude and like knock him out, right? But then the second he, and it'll work for a second, but then the second he wakes back up, he's gonna be even more racist or even more homophobic and be like, oh, look what the hell they just did. And although it's much much harder, if you treat that person with love, even though they might not deserve, not that they don't deserve it, you might feel a lot of people might feel like they don't deserve it. If you treat that person with love instead of doing some stuff like that, I think you can make a real difference. I was thinking the same thing. So Emmett in the chat said he was talking about the black KKK guy who I didn't watch the actual movie. I don't know if you heard of this, Chris. Um,
I think I heard. Oh, it was like the black guy that thing made into the K, and he ended up becoming friends, and like a lot of them changed their ways and left the KKK through it all. I think I heard the kind of basics, but I don't think I actually watched.
yeah, I only know like the basics too, but yeah, you had it down. Basically, yeah, it was some dude who I remember seeing something like he changed a ridiculous amount of people's minds, something like 200 or maybe more. I have no idea, but he did it with love. You know, he didn't go up there and start shooting people up. He literally changed their minds.
Yeah, but that is like that's the crazy thing about it is everybody just wants to be aggressive in that sense that if you were to be calm and ask someone why they feel that way, it could be something like when they were 6 years old, someone of that race done something very, very, very traumatic to them.
Mm-hmm.
And from that moment, they've just believed, and everyone around them's kind of fed into it. So, but it's something that is so out of this world wrong that they've just had the wrong surrounding people to feed them that. And if you can kind of get into that and be like, well, what that one that wasn't a race thing. It was that one person was a horrible human being,
Mm-hmm.
and you have every right to be upset with that person. We should all be upset with that person. You can't paint everyone with the same brush. Like, and I think that's where a lot of people do go wrong. And it's something that I'd love to see. If there was something to change in this world, that is one of the things I would do. Like I know everybody would talk, oh, you want world peace and you think me this and you think me that, but that one act of change could bring a lot of peace to a lot more people. If you could just sit and listen to someone that has a difference of opinion and understand why they have it.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. Um, Emmett said in the chat he even changed some Grand Wizards' minds and made them retire from the KKK. Dude, that is absolutely insane.
You know?
Yeah, I want to talk about.
Yeah.
Let's talk about how. Let's talk about your scandalous relationship with Docs. Let's talk about how you two guys met each other.
Well, this is if you thought me only streaming from February was bad, this is going to be even more of a mind blow to you. I met Docs last August, September.
Really?
Like we haven't even known each other a year. Yeah, like it was funny because what had actually happened is I had been going through a bit of a rough patch in my life. And I'd never been on Twitch, or I was on Twitch when it used to be Justin TV back in like 2010, 2011, and before that. But it was one day I was scrolling through YouTube and I actually found a streamer called Sweet Anita and went, do you know what? I'm going to go into Twitch and just go into the chat and just see what's going on. And about 4 days later, she raided a small streamer called Titan Naughty, and I ended up just staying in his chat because he's a lovely person, and he's funny and hilarious, and just he's a genuine one of the people where even just through a computer screen you go, he's a good fucking person.
Mm-hmm.
And it just sort of radiated, and I went, do you know what, I like it here. So I ended up staying in his chat, and it was like 2 or 3 weeks later he ended up raiding Docs, that then put me in talk with Docs, and that's where everything just stemmed from that. So it's literally only been about 7-8 months, maybe longer, that me and Docs have even known each other, and it just like now he's one of my best friends. He's such a big part in my life now in such a little time that it's even to me it's like insane and just unbelievable that that sort of relationship. And it's the same with like Titan and Zim and a few other people from that community. Is that just over the last few months, we've just grown so tight knitted and just like really, really great friends. And the fact that me and Docs have got the podcast going, we've got a lot of other projects under the same umbrella, kind of in plans and stuff. It's absolutely unreal to think where it actually started from. And it's like you were saying, it sounds as if it's like a scandalous relationship, but in some ways it kind of is, because it's scandalous in the ways that there's people out there that have had a relationship for 20 years and don't have as close a knit bond as me and Docs do. But we just seem to have clicked, and like I absolutely fucking love the guy, and like he's moving, and like there's a lot of things that's going into that, and he's stressing about getting back up and running as quickly as possible. Like right now, he's taking to streaming through his phone just so he can still stream. Like he's doing like 2-3 hour conversations just on his phone. It's the most terrible fucking setup in the human history, but it's because he loves it. And like I'm trying not to miss them, because just sitting talking and finding out what's going on. And yesterday I was trying to play mobile games through Twitch just so he could keep contact going out, because he has this. Docs is the type of person that, because people sub to him, it feels as if he has to give 110% every single day. He needs to pump out hours and hours and hours of content, because he wants to be the type of streamer that you're paying $5 a month. He wants to be giving you 120 hours a month worth of content, because that's what you deserve for your $5 a month. And I keep on trying to tell him that he needs to slow down and just take days to himself and chill out, because there's some days where he's out in stream and you can just feel there's something off. Like he's just not as connected with the chat. He's not as in love with the game. But I think a lot of it stemmed from his personal work and stuff like that, which he's no longer in. And straight away, like I had this conversation with a couple the other day. It's night and day with him. Like his stress levels have just went away. He's now thinking that he's going to try and stream full time and get more content out, but also take the breaks that he needs to have, because like it's like everybody, you need a break. You can't be 100% all the time. And like I absolutely love him, but some of his decision making can leave you fucking wanting to hit the guy. But it's just how it is, and I hope that his move, and once he gets everything set up and we get back to the podcast and that, everybody will see the real Docs, the real happy guy, that he's there for the love of being there. He loves to chat to people. He loves to help people. He loves to just do what makes himself happy and what makes other people happy. And we've all been kind of limited from that, Docs, because of his like work and personal life and stuff like that. And I think like everybody in the community is just waiting for that day comes online, everything's set up, everything's perfect, and it's just the happy Docs that we all fucking love. And yeah, in the last 9 months I've seen it a couple of times, and it's fucking great. And I can't wait for everybody else to see it.
Yeah, you guys have a wonderful relationship. Two, I genuinely love your guys' podcast, and I've only seen one episode. That one episode that I saw that one time, that's all that I've seen so far. But dude, that was like a month ago, but it's like imprinted into my memory. I had such a great time. I was like, oh, this is fucking awesome. I remember the day after, because I think I was drunk when I was watching you guys. I remember the day after I like clicked my followed channels or people I'm following, and I have like 200 people I'm following. So I'm like scrolling through everyone like, are these the two guys from last night? No. Are these those two guys? No. Is this that Scottish guy from last night? Nah, this is some guy from Texas, whatever. Dude, it took me like an hour to even find you guys again the next day. I think you guys have an awesome, awesome relationship. Um, it's cool that you guys got so close so quick online. I want to say when I like growing up, like some of my friends and people that I've heard of, they'd be like, "Oh, I have like this online girlfriend," and I would be like, "This guy's kind of weird," or they'd be like, "Yo, like this guy, I've never even met him in person, but like he's so cool. He's like my best friend. I only know him online," and I'm like, "That guy's kind of weird too." But then now that I've been on the internet so much, dude, I totally get it now. Some of the best people I've met, and like honestly, my best friends are online. So I was just like a little 15-year-old hater. But I remember thinking it was weird back then. I'm like, wait, you've never even met this person? And that was like before video chatting was even big. So it was even more bizarre, I guess, because they're just like typing back and forth. At least now it feels like you're in the same room as them. But I totally get it.
Mm-hmm.
Not only connection wise, but just uh, like not in a business connection way and like a genuine connection way. I've met so many cool people, so many people who've just taken the time out of their day. I've had people help me mix a song for like 4 or 5 hours out of their day who I've never talked to before. They had nothing to gain from it. They were just scrolling through the music Twitch and like, oh, look at this guy working on his song. Oh, I see him mixing, but he's a beginner. He doesn't know. Let me help him. They'd spend like 3 or 4 hours. People who have nothing to gain from it. Um, I've just met some wonderful, wonderful people on here. So I totally get that now.
Mm-hmm.
My question is, do you and because I saw like a TikTok about this recently. It was some dude. It's different than you and Docs, but it was some guy who he's been gaming with somebody forever, and they finally met in person after like 8 years. And I saw the video, and it was insane. Do you and Docs have any plans to meet up in person uh, anytime soon?
Well, to be honest, the whole COVID thing kind of
Yeah.
threw a wrench into that because I was actually supposed to be in the States last November visiting a friend in New Jersey,
Hey, that's
up
where I'm at right now.
in, is it Clifton?
Yeah, that's where I'm in New
Yeah.
Jersey.
Um, yeah, well, that's where she lives. So I was actually supposed to go out there for Thanksgiving last year
Hmm.
for it, but flights and all that kind of stuff got cancelled because well, the
Yeah.
COVID and the travel bans and that. So the plan is as soon as this is all settled down, my plan it's slightly changed because the original plan was that I was going out there for like 2 or 3 weeks, and I
Hmm.
was just going to be in like New Jersey, New York, and stuff like that. But I've got some friends that I've met previously from bike racing and stuff like that that live in Texas and someone out in California. So I then kind of decided that what I wanted to do is come out for like 3 or 4 weeks and be in New Jersey with my friend, and then I was going to get a flight out to Texas for a couple of days, then a flight out to California, and then come back and spend the rest of it. But I think now the plan is that I'm going to be out there for like 6 weeks because I need to be in New Jersey with a friend, then I have to go to Texas, then I have to go to Philadelphia, then I have to go to Wisconsin, then I have to go here, and just I'm literally having to go right across the states, meeting everybody that I've met online because like it just has to happen.
Yeah,
And
let me know when
the
you're in
other
New
one
Jersey.
is oh, definitely, well, definitely, because it's like the other thing that we're trying to do is the likes of Docs and that he wants to come across to Scotland because who does they want to come to Scotland? It's the greatest country in the world. But there's quite a lot of people over here in the UK, streamers and stuff like that that's in the things, or
Uh-huh.
the community. So I'm kind of like in the background sitting there going like that. Well, I could go. There's like up in Scotland, there's like these big, like 13-acre cabin like things where you can house like 30 people and stuff like that,
Dang.
that you can hire out for like a weekend and that. And I've been sitting there going like, right, I know a buddy that actually works within that, and I might be able to get some. Maybe we have a big ChrisCon for Twitch, and we'll get everybody for the States across, we'll get everybody for the UK up, and people for Europe. We'll just have a big fucking 2-day bender party, and
Yeah.
just everything can fucking go wild for 2 days, and we'll have a great time. But that sort of thing. You're turning around like that, right? Well, we can get it sorted. And you've got, oh, we can't have it this week, or we can't have it this weekend. This weekend I've got this. This weekend I've got that. And you're like, well, we're going to have to sort something. I can't come across to the States and just keep coming back and forward. We're going to have to make something better and have everybody in one big fucking thing.
Yeah.
But there's definitely plans that I want to get across to the States, because there's a lot of America that I do want to see. Like, even before meeting people online, there was a lot that I wanted to see. But like you were saying about, like, you had the friend that I was actually coming across to meet in New Jersey, I met her online when I was like 14. And we've just
Oh.
always talked constantly. And like, it's been off and on. Like, we can go like 6 months without talking to each other, but as soon as we start talking to each other, it's as if a day hasn't gone by. We just get straight back into the way it was. So it's like, last year we'd finally decided, because I think it was supposed to be 15 years since we met. We wanted to meet in person before it went 15 years, but because of COVID, it's kind of pushed it. So we've just decided, well, we'll have to get it done as close to as possible. We can't go 20 years knowing each other and never actually met in fucking person, because she was supposed to come across to Scotland first, and then I was going out at the end of the year, and everything just got fucked up.
Yeah, dude.
Like, can't complain, because like it's no going to America is not the worst that happened during the whole pandemic, so I can't really complain. But it's still one of those ones where you're like, we had so much planned, and now we're having to just wait until, and every month that it waits, the more I'm having to try and fit in. And I have a feeling that by the time I get to where I'm actually able to come to America, I'm going to be coming across for like 6 months, be able to fit in everything that I want to do.
6 month bender.
Exactly. So it's getting a bit out of hand in that sense. But there's definite plans. Like, I want to get across kind of sooner rather than later. I don't want to wait 5 years down the line.
Right.
I think as soon as the pandemic's kind of settled, I know it's going to be a few years till it's completely done, but until things are settled, that's when I'm planning on getting across to meet everybody that I've met, because why would I know? Like, everybody's been amazing.
Yeah, no, dude, that's awesome. You're literally gonna have you're gonna have to have at that point, do like a month-long bender where you just go across the entire country. You might not remember any of it, but you'll get some cool pictures. Look back on it.
Yeah,
I don't know if you can/want to talk about this. You were talking about you and Docs have like a bunch of like umbrella projects you're working on. I don't know if those are like secretive right now, or if you can talk about them. Or some of them?
Well, they're not. I mean, there's a couple of projects that we've not really talked about enough to go, yeah, this is definitely is. But the kind of projects that we've been, because the way it's kind of working, and I think this is another reason as to why me and Doc's relationship works so well, especially in a business side, is my key place in business is behind the scenes. I'm the guy that can just do the mundane task, that just powers through the things that need to be done. Docs is definitely the production value, the idea person, the getting the stream set up, getting the guests in place, getting that conversation going, getting overlays, artists and stuff like that. He's definitely that type of person that front of house, whereas I'm a lot more the contacting, like putting, like I'm the guy that runs the RSS feed to get everything upline or uploaded. I'm the one that does the editing side. He does the sort of the top edit, and then I go in and fine tune everything. So like we work perfectly that way. So there's a lot of plans where I'm kind of just steamrolling through, and Docs is just there for the ride. Because without Docs, none of it would really be possible. He's the one that's given the platform. I'm the one that's kind of just underneath going, well, this is happening now, and this is happening now, and this. Like, when I'd messaged you about the intros and stuff like that, it was like, once like we'd had back and forwards and that kind of stuff, I then messaged Docs and been like, oh, by the way, I've been speaking to Pat Danger, and he's going to write us an intro. And then I sent him the song, and it was like, because he was in the middle of moving, it was like, I was just giving him like information dumps. He go in like full 7-paragraph essays saying, this is happening, this is happening, this is happening. And that sort of, it was less that I was needing him to get back to me on it. It was more, I wanted to give him the information that was happening while it was happening, rather than him come back in 2 weeks later and go, right, what's happened? And me going, well, this has changed, this has changed, this has changed, this is now a thing. I want to keep him in that loop. So he's just been getting these dumps of information and that, oh, Pat Danger's done this, here's the song, have a great time. We've been listening to it for the last 3 days. This is it. But a lot of the projects that I want to do in the umbrella is I want to create this. We've got the Drunk Tank podcast, but I've now set up this Drunk Tank Productions where we have plans in the future of getting a studio set up where we can host the podcast from a set location. But having our own studio could open up the things of, Docs loves to do cooking, but he doesn't have the great capability of doing like cooking streams. Like, well, if we have a studio, we can then do a cooking show on another night and have studio production value of a cooking show. We can get a talk show going, we can get this, we can get that. But that's all like 5-year plans down the line when things are working. But at the moment, one of the things that I've been looking at is the networking side of Twitch, and or less about the workings and more about the problems with it, and that a lot of streamers try and contact other streamers, and there's a lot of negativity across. They don't want to work with people, this person doesn't like people, and there's a whole thing. So one of the projects that I'm trying to work is a networking community where streamers can be part of the community and kind of be like, well, this person plays Minecraft, here's streamers that we know that play Minecraft that you can network with. It's not a case of a Minecraft streamer going to this other big streamer that's never played Minecraft and going, I want to collab. It's never going to work. And like we were thinking, when I contacted you, I was trying to word it in a way that I didn't seem like a dick. And then you said that you wanted to message me, but you didn't want to sound like a douche.
Dude.
So it's like, there's even those little things is an issue.
I almost said in my first time watching your chat that night, but dude, one, I was drunk, so I just, my mind was my already limited mind was working at even lower capacity. Dude, I didn't know how to word it, but I was straight up gonna say to your chat like, yo, because I think I told you guys I was a rapper, because I think I said something like, yo, what's up, guys? I'm a rapper. I have no idea what the fuck UFC even stands for, but this is awesome. But I was going to say something in there like, yo, if you guys need intro, outro, theme song, whatever, if you just want a theme song for off stream to sing in the shower or for your daily life, I was like, yo, I got you. But I didn't know how to say that without being like, I don't know. One, making it sound like a marketing pitch, because I wanted to do it obviously for free. And two, I didn't know how to word it without being like coming across as like arrogant in a sense or whatever. And I'm like, oh, maybe they already have an intro or an outro. And now I just look like an even bigger douche. Like, fuck your intro. Fire that guy. We're going to go in and redo that. All right.
Well, that's kind of what I've seen, is that happens a lot. And then it means that streamers don't actually contact, but not just streamer to streamer. There's a lot of times where streamers need artists for emotes or overlays and stuff like that. Maybe a streamer has a plan, like we did, of getting intros and outros and transition sounds and stuff like that. One of the projects that I want to create is a community where we can be the middle person in that conversation, whereas a streamer can turn around and go, I need a musician for this, and we can turn around and go, right, well, we have this musician on call, this is the type of music they do, we have this musician that does this, we have this musician that, what are you looking for? And we can direct them to the specific artists that they're looking for, rather than them just trailing through Fiverr
Hmm.
or Facebook or just another platform and having to go through everybody themselves. If we've got that capability, in the same way like artists of they're wanting emotes, what style of emotes are you wanting? Because this artist does these sort of emotes. This one does more of the mascot, personalized stuff. This one does a bit more generic in that sense. So if we can create a community where we can have multiple talents throughout, where we can kind of go, by the way, and the one thing that I've been like, because when I talk about this, I I always feel as if it's coming across as if I want to make this community where everybody helps each other, and it's like, yes, that's part of it. Is I want a community where everybody's friendly, everybody can be safe and happy and chat and stuff, but at the same time, the community also has to understand that the artists and the streamers and that it's a business, it's a job.
Hmm.
It's not a case of this streamer wants overlays done, this artist is going to do it for nothing. That's no what it is. The point of the project is we can put you in touch, but the artists still have to be paid what they're due.
Yeah.
uh, it could be one of those ones that artists might go, well, you're getting me 3 work or jobs every week, so I'm not going to charge $100 everything. I'm going to charge you 66% of that,
Hmm.
so that it's beneficial for everybody. But at the same time, the artist is putting time and effort into that project. They deserve to be paid what they're owed. I hate these people that go online and go, oh, all you do is draw this, all you do is like, that doesn't matter. Like, a musician can be playing their music from the age of 4. They can be 40. That's 36 years worth of talent and skill that they've
Hmm.
honed in on and they've worked on and they've perfected, and that they deserve to be paid a wage that goes with their talent and their skill. The exact same way as a streamer, if we turned around and said, oh, by the way, you're going to do this for this person, but we're not going to pay you sponsor. Like, you would argue, well, no, 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 it's my time, it's my business. Like, it works both ways as well. Like, we want to create an environment and a community where people can feel safe, that their skills and their talents are like trusted. Like, they're deserving of what they're due. So it's not a case of, well, you're just a musician, or you're just an artist, or you're just a video game player. Like, that's no the point. Is it's I've worked for companies and I've ran my own companies. And the worst thing about running your own company is when people either take advantage of you or just don't understand how hard it is to be doing those. I mean, I started a company at the start of the year there, and I was doing 3 day jobs away from home. I was on the road 18 hours a day, just constantly grinding and dragging, trying to get everything set up and going. And it was one of the most grueling parts of doing that job, but I knew it was something that I wanted to do. It might have not been music, it might have not been artistry, it might have not been photography, but it was something I wanted. So I understand what it's like for up and coming artists, or not even up and coming artists that's been doing it for 30 years.
Hmm.
Like, the grind never stops. It never ever stops. And it's disheartening to see anybody that puts the time and effort in and not getting what they deserve out it.
I agree.
And that's the sort of community that we want from it. Is everybody helping everybody, but getting what they deserve.
I think it's one. I love the idea. Two, going off what you were kind of saying at the end. Yeah, I think it's very easy to diminish what somebody does down to, like, minimize a very small, like, I know music. That's all I know. I don't know how to make Twitch overlays, anything. But if I was like some sort of asshole, you could diminish anything. Like, all right, a wedding photographer. Oh, like I really have to pay you. All you really do is put your finger on a button and that's it. Like it just and
Mhm.
that sounds so stupid saying it out loud. And I'm sure everyone listening is like, that's not what they do. But people genuinely believe that. Like someone does a Twitch overlay for you. It's like, man, all you really did was go into Photoshop and do this. It's like that's crazy to me, first off. Two, I've seen a lot of things which just makes me cringe, where like I think there's a whole subreddit for it too. It's like when somebody does like a whole job for them and then the person doesn't pay, but they're like, I'm not going to pay you, but you'll probably get a ton of exposure. And it's like,
Yeah,
what the fuck are you even talking about?
yeah,
So that shit just kind of that shit makes me cringe. It's very easy to diminish people's work down to nothing. I never try to speak on anything I know nothing about. I know about music, that's it. If I have somebody do something for me, anything, I will never be like, "Oh, like, it was pretty easy. I thought you were doing this for free, whatever." Or some stupid shit like that. I think you have a really good idea with the networking thing. I feel like if maybe it got to the point you could almost make like a Tinder type thing for like networking. It's like, oh, if I
yeah.
see Chrisy Cee on here, all right, let me swipe right. I would like to work with that guy, whatever. I think that would be cool. I'm not much of a networking guy. It's just not really my maybe not my style, whatever. Not something I enjoy doing, so I don't do it much. But I've been trying to reach out to get some guests for the podcast, and there's like sometimes I reach out to people and I have like a super negative experience. One guy I reached out to, he has like a really big following, and um, one, I didn't even think he would get back to me, but he did get back to me, and he's like, "Yeah, I'll come on," or whatever. And I was like, "All right, cool." And then it just something felt really off about it, and it almost felt like he knew he was this had this big following, and he knew I was this little guy, so he's kind of like dangling it in front of me, like, maybe I'll come on if you're lucky, type thing. And I'm just like, I didn't say it, but I'm like, all right, just don't come on. I really don't care that much. Like,
Yeah.
I really just don't care. Um, so I would like to not deal with shitheads like that. So I would like, dude, if there was some app like this, I would totally do it. I think it's like a great idea. Save me that little that little step I have
Well,
to do.
that's the crazy thing about it is that, like, in that little kind of thing, the amount of, like, I know a lot of people would kind of view it of like a musician, like, it always reminds me of that Two and a Half Men. You can have this musician, he's a big musician, he's a great musician in that, but the thought of moving from music into doing like jingles and TV themes and
Hmm.
stuff like that, it's as if it's this great big drop. But when you consider that, well, that TV show, like, you look at the person that done the theme song to like the fucking The Witcher. How many fucking people have listened to that theme song? How many people have listened to the theme song of Game of Thrones?
Like The
Like,
Office.
it was a nothing kind of gig. Yeah, like, it's world renowned at this point. And
Yeah.
like, there's some big artists that haven't reached some of the corners of the world that the Office theme song has reached, and
Yeah.
it's like, in that sense, like, I've said, I've even tweeted about it. Like, I've enjoyed like a lot of your music that I've listened
Thank
to
you.
through Spotify. That love song still just fucking. It's just, there's just something about it that makes you just ooze happiness and
Thank you,
just
man.
have
Thank you.
that little extra skip in your step. But it's like, as much as your music as a musician and like you're rapping and stuff like that, the intro that you done for us is, as I've said over and over again, it was so much better than what we were even thinking. And that just goes to show you the difference between someone that's in music and someone that's not in music is just how our thought process of, well, if we have it like this and have it like that, and then you took those little ideas and sentences and turned it into that. And it's like, there's a lot of like podcasts or streamers and stuff like that that would be looking for that sort of thing. And you personally, you could easily go straight into that and make some great fucking money anyway. But the kind of work that you'd get out of that alone would be amazing for a lot of other people. In that sense, like, I mean, you see how fucking happy me and Docs are, and it was a 40-minute clip that a lot of people would just go, like you said, it's a 40-minute thing or a 40-second thing, but that's the thing that I understand is like the wedding photographer, all he's doing is pressing a button. It's like, well, yeah, he's just pressing a button, but the university and college course that he took cost him 15,000. The camera that he's using cost him 10. That has to be paid.
Yeah.
Like, you're not getting a guy that's pressing a button. You're getting 15 years worth of university and education. And it's the same with like musicians. I know just how much a decent mic can cost. I know just how much the software for editing and mixing songs costs. So, turning around and saying for a 40-second clip it's got to cost you $1 a second. I can understand why it's $1 a second, because the amount of money that you would have had to have put in just to get the software and equipment to do that 40 seconds is a lot more than $40. So that's where I see, and that's why I want to make or create this community where everybody understands that it's not just someone pressing buttons. It's the wealth of experience that they've put in to get to this point, because that's what everybody deserves. Everybody deserves to be congratulated for the time and effort that they've put into something, because there's not a lot of people that can put 15 years into one project. Like, most people go to school and then flunk out of school after 2 years and don't actually go and do what they went to school for.
Mm-hmm.
So the fact that you have and still doing it, like, that should be commended in itself. So it just pisses me off when people try and take advantage of people in that sense of, oh, well, you're going to get exposure, and you're like, oh, well, hold on, and I'll phone up my landlord and tell him that I can't pay him in money, but I've got exposure. Like, it's just such a ridiculous fucking concept to me.
Yeah, dude. If I when I do find that subreddit later, I'll send it over to you. You'll have a good laugh. It's exactly shit like that. Like, all right, someone will say like, yeah, I'll pay you an exposure. It's like, all right, hold up, let me run to the supermarket real quick and buy my dinner with exposure.
Stupid.
The last thing I want to say before we get off of here, I know what kind of people you and Docs are, so I think if you do guys end up doing this this connection things, I think it would be cool. I think it would be cool because it's like genuine people connecting with genuine people. We could kind of skip like the shitheads, like that one guy who's like, I have this many thousands, hundreds of thousands of followers. It's like, dude, I don't care. If you're cool, you're cool. So I think it's a great idea. I really am looking forward to see what you guys do. I'm waiting for you guys' podcast to come back, man. I'm excited. Do you have anything you want to finish this off with, Chris? Any last words?
I mean, other than make sure everybody in chat goes and checks out your Spotify, because there is some fucking great stuff on it. But also to keep a lookout for the podcast, because we'll be getting you on the podcast once we're back and
can't wait,
up and running to get a proper. Thank you for what you've done so far for us, and to a massive drink to the relationship that hopefully can stem from it all.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. I mean, dude, I can't wait for your podcast to come back. When I post this video on YouTube too, we'll link your podcast so everyone else can check it out as well.
Yeah, no, perfect. Thank you.
All right, I'm going to talk to you in the Discord right after this. Thank you, everybody who is here. Big shout out to Chris. We're going to link some of his stuff in the YouTube video. Have a great night, everybody.